welcome to another episode of the Brown and Black podcast. My name is Jack Rico.
And I'm Mike Sargent.
And every week we take a look at race and pop culture through a brown and black lens.
We've got 5 great films here, and they're great for one reason, because they tell the truth. But there is one film missing from this list that deserves to be on it, because ironically, it might tell the biggest truth of all, and that's Do the Right Thing. Yes, yes. Yes.
Now, what you just heard was Kim Basinger at the 1990 Academy Awards, lamenting the fact that Do the Right Thing was overlooked or passed over for a potential Oscar. So it's almost 40 years later. Is this still happening? We're in a post-Oscar so white era. Recently, his new film is not really gotten a whole lot of promotion. And many in the Black community are upset about it. There have been a number of articles about it. And it begs the question. The white race is not monolithic, but a culture has a relationship just like the individual. What is the relationship Black and brown people have with white culture? Do we see it as something that's going to support us? Are we going to look at it through the lens of past abuse? So how do we unpack this to see, is it intentional, unintentional? Is it something that we should be upset about, or is it just business?
Let me ask you this, man, because you're a film critic, you're a filmmaker. Is this a racist thing or not?
In my opinion, okay, racism is a strong word, okay? And bias,
but that's what we're getting at, right? That's what all this dust up is. Like, I think what bothers me about like the media framing of it all is we know what you're really trying to say at the end of the whole thing. Racism. So why don't we just say it out loud like this? Like, what are you questioning? Is this act a racist act?
That's a good question. I don't know if it's a racist act, but here's what I will say. It is impossible as a person of color and as a film critic and as a filmmaker to not be concerned, to not call it out, to not notice it, and not wonder or question whether it is racism. Because the history shows you that behavior, let's put it like this. The underlying message of all of this is the underlying message of what I have felt as a film critic, as a filmmaker when it comes to Hollywood. And that is Black stories don't matter. They don't matter so much. The world doesn't care. They're not going to sell internationally. Black stories don't matter. So having been told that in so many different ways, there's no way that this can happen and it not get called out. That's how I see it.
So I think that, yes, the optics of this marketing
or lack thereof, yes.
or lack thereof is something very concerning. Because I think that as a fan, let's just look at this from a fandom point of view and then a business point of view, because I think those are two different languages. And the fan sides with the creator, man. The fan sides with the purity of the act of cinema, of just the expression of the human definition of what it's like to be alive. And here it's captured in this film. All right. And I think that the language for them is you have probably the most important Black director of the last 20, 30 years, of the last generation. And a man who has stood up for activism, Black protest. He has stood up against white power. He has stood up against racist structures. Black Klansman, man, says it all. It's Blacks against the Ku Klux Klan. That movie was a Spike Lee movie. And then you have probably, if not the greatest Black actor of them all.
Exactly.
in Denzel Washington. And the dude is still cranking out bangers. Equalizer 3, dude, was still a good, compelling movie. I was like, and then he was just in Othello on Broadway. And it's the 5th time that these two masters of their art and the weight of them being black, this shit has blockbuster, epic all over it. So I think to the fan, they're like, why isn't this on IMAX? Why isn't this Black Panther? And I think as a fan, those are all really great questions until you're Spike Lee. Spike's the creator, right? But Spike needs to eat. Spike needs to pay health insurance bills. Spike needs to feed his family. So now Spike isn't just a creator and a fan. I think Spike has to do business. So the question really is, instead of looking at it from the fan point of view, to me as a cultural commentator who's like analyzing this from every angle possible, is Spike, why did you make this deal? Why did you allow these optics to happen? How come no one's heard from Denzel? Denzel just got paid $35 million for this movie, man. I don't think Denzel cares about the marketing of it. Like most people, he cares about getting paid first. And then he trusts that A24 and that Spike Lee will make it happen. It's not up to him. Hey, man, I'm Denzel. I just show up, give you the best performance possible. You know it's going to be at the Oscar Awards. But the problem here is that it's getting a 2-week release, Mike. A 2-week release instead of a 60-90. And you think that's just going to happen without Spike's permission?
Dude, I have so much to say to what you're saying. I'm going to let you finish.
What I'm saying is that there needs to be 2 framings to this issue, because what I'm hearing is the framing of the fans and social media. And I just never trust it, man. Half of that is just passion, emotions, uncensored. As a journalist, you can't just go on that. I need to look at it from the insider perspective. It's Denzel and Spike had to talk to someone about funding this movie. They had to talk about windows. And I'm not talking home windows. I'm talking about theatrical windows, streaming windows. You don't think that they were in meetings and A24 was involved? And come on. Everyone agreed to this. Now, optically, is the intent to diminish this movie is the real question. Is this a marketing mishap? You remember Origin, the Ava DuVernay movie, and the quiet beef she had with Neon about this. It was an Isabel Wilkerson book based off of the book Cast. And I saw the movie and I'm thinking, how is this movie not promoted more? And then that reminds me of the Queen and Slim. Do you remember when that movie came out and the whole thing, Melina Matsoukas, which was the director, she's Afro-Latina, no white film critic would go out to see the film.
Dude, we could mention example after example.
Right. But I can also mention the example of Black Panther. Nope. From Jordan Peele. The Bob Marley movie recently, One Love. $180 million worldwide. What I can't hear is every single black movie that's come out has been diminished because it's black. If a black movie is marketed, it will travel. It will make money. But if a movie isn't marketed, And in this particular case, I don't know what the agreement was between Spike Denzel's production companies and A24. I don't know because Spike hasn't said anything and no one's saying anything. So it's all left up to speculation. And I think that our jobs is to be like, okay, what are the holes here and who's right and who's wrong?
I have a lot to say to what you're saying, and I want to peel back the onion a little bit here. You mentioned Queen and Slim, you mentioned Origin, and let's just stand back for a second to look at business, okay? Marketing. Like you said, if you give that Black movie, that Black story a chance to market it, it has a chance, it has a better chance of making money. Now, why would you go ahead, spend top dollar for top talent, $35 million, that's, you haven't shot a frame of film. Why would you do that and then not market the shit out of it? Why? Spike Lee knew they weren't going to do this. Okay, why? The question would be, would Spike Lee have to settle for a deal like that? I've interviewed many, many Black filmmakers over the years as a journalist and had conversations with Black filmmakers and brown filmmakers too. Even Eddie Murphy talked about it, how he's getting offered a fraction of what Jim Carrey would for the same kind of film, a film that is $100 million, $50 million budget. Why? Why are Black films and Black stories often, so often shortchanged? Black filmmakers so often shortchanged. Now you could argue, you could say Spike Lee has had films that underperformed. A24, they did promote Opus a lot more than they promoted this, and that underperformed. And we interviewed the director. We had him on the show. Why is it that the same studio, okay, I don't know the amount that they paid Dwayne Johnson to be in the new A24 film, but I've been seeing ads before Highest to Lowest for the Dwayne Johnson A24 film that doesn't come out till October.
I can't wait to see that movie.
All right. And again, you know what? You have anticipation now. If you had been seeing back in February, Black History Month, that this film is coming in as a teaser or anything, wouldn't you have some anticipation? Now that the film is just dropping like it is, okay, either is one of two reasons. Either they don't believe in the film, okay, or this is the way they treat him. Now, I feel it's got to be somewhere in between, because Martin Scorsese had several bombs, several underperforming films, and then still got all the money he needed for The Irishman, which was something that nobody wanted to fund at the time. Okay. And then he had to even de-age his stars, okay, who were not the box office they once were. So Denzel still has box office. Spike still has interest. At the very least, even if the film were not as good as everybody hoped, if the more you hype it, the more chance you have to actually get people to see it, to actually get interest. And marketing's not like it was where you have to buy all these TV ads. They could just push it on YouTube, push it on social media.
But I keep on going back to this thing. There's a 2-week window. This isn't Top Gun. This is a Kurosawa film. It is slow burning. And it's not what we want to see from a Spike Lee movie. But at this age, entering his 70s, the business has changed for Spike. Theaters isn't what it used to be anymore. Black audiences aren't going for every Black film to the theaters anymore. They're going out for tent poles. Big Fast and Furious 10 is getting more Black people to the theaters than Spike Lee movies. Who knows why he allowed a 2-week window with A24 when he signed the deal? Was it, hey, Spike, we're going to give you all of this money, but this is the deal. We want you more as in a prestige adult drama that we can push you into Oscar category and not so much as a revenue driver for this film. Like, we're not getting that blockbuster action epic film. with the two biggest black names in the Hollywood. I think this is more of a meditative film. I think this is not the type of film that people think is theater driven. Didn't Brad Pitt and George Clooney make a movie called Wolves that went straight to streaming? And when they asked him how is it that the two biggest names, George Clooney and Brad Pitt, in one movie, went straight to streaming? And what did George Clooney say? The business has changed. If I'm looking at the two biggest movie stars that are white, and they're forced to make a decision to take a movie straight to streaming, at least Spike is getting a 2-week window. And you know why they need 2-week windows, Mike? Because those 2-week windows is exactly the criteria that the Oscar Awards needs for Best Picture consideration.
We're talking, I think, about two different things. Because I'll be honest with you, I don't give a fuck about the 2-week window. Yes, it's nice to give them the 2-week window so you can get Oscar consideration. Oh, that's great. Okay, but I'm glad you brought up Wolves. Long before that movie came out, even though it was straight to streaming, you knew about it. You knew about it.
I didn't. You're asking me. I had not heard about that movie until I saw the press conferences in Europe, which, by the way, Highest to Low also came out in Cannes earlier with a teaser trailer. They both had press conferences, and they both spoke very little about the movie.
But what I'm saying is, and again, we can go back and look at when the first trailer dropped. I'm saying the idea that you drop the first trailer for the public, forget the teaser, forget Cannes, not everybody, not the audience that quote unquote would want to go see this movie is necessarily following what's happening at Cannes. So I don't even consider any of that having to do with anything reaching the general mass public, the black audience you're talking about that don't go to the theaters unless it's a Marvel movie or a big blockbuster. I'm saying those folks. And I'm also saying, as you said, the business has changed. Social media. Social media is where you push out all your trailers, all your clips. If you're on TikTok or if you're on Instagram, you're going to see trailers for stuff that's coming. You didn't even know. Oh, wow, look, this is coming. This is coming. And even a month out, it's summer. And there's a new Spike Lee movie with Denzel Washington coming out this summer. Most people didn't find out about it till a week ago. And I'm saying, irregardless of where it's going to be, whatever platform, whether it's going to be straight to streaming or it's going to have a 2-week theatrical window, I'm saying, and I think a lot of the black community clearly is saying, why are we just hearing about this now? Why hasn't there been any advance promotion for this film? What's the problem? Is the film bad and you're burying it? If so, then would you be still giving it the 2-week theatrical window that maybe was in his contract? Or maybe in Denzel's contract for him to get nominated, to have something in contention? Or is it something else? And I'm also saying that it's impossible to not question this. It's just impossible. If you've been in an abusive relationship and every time they go to hit you and then, quote unquote, they're not hitting you anymore, but they raise their hand and they say, oh, no, I was just raising my hand. You have, I could call it post-traumatic cultural stress. Black people in this country
PTSD.
have it. Yeah, PTCS.
Marginalized people have it, yes.
Yeah. You have an ongoing oppression that affects the collective psyche and shapes our relationship with white culture. So there's no way we don't have a relationship with Hollywood where we have often been overlooked, underpromoted, dumped, told that our stories, like I said, don't matter. And this is a story, yes, it's a remake. And if we're going to be honest, Spike's last remake of a Japanese film did not go over that well. So yeah, that's the question. Is it because of the film? And like you said, they probably didn't see this as a blockbuster. It's Spike's in the 70s, Denzel's in the 70s. It's a different audience. It's still a compelling story. It's still Denzel Washington. It's still something they were willing to pay him $35 billion for. So I think it is enormously legitimate to question why. Now, I'm supposed to see the film. Probably by the time this airs, I'll be seeing it within a few days. And maybe we'll revisit this on our new Instagram live lunch breaks. And we'll talk about why we think now that we've seen it. But in the meantime, I think that the lens that we view the actions of Hollywood, it's systemic abuse is going to color that lens. It's always going to color that lens. You're always going to question it. That's just the history we come from.
No, but listen, but no, as a brown person, look what we have less movies than you.
Yes.
Well, we don't have a Spike Lee like that. We don't have a Denzel like that. Like, you're better than us. So what I'm saying is the empathy goes out for this, but at the same time, as business people and entrepreneurs that we are also at this stage, we know that every decision isn't made by the fan who's always looking at everything purely. And that business decisions have to be made. And unless I hear Spike on the record or Denzel on the record saying, hey, man, they screwed us over and this is racism, unless I hear them say that, I have to question why they're not saying it, why they haven't gone out publicly. Why did you allow the 2-week run? Are you okay with the deal you got? And if so, then say something. If anything, I think Spike's accountability is that if you are seeing some sort of negative talk and journalists are starting to cover it, and it's starting to become noise to the point that Brown and Black is having a whole conversation episode about it, then Mike, if I were the subject, I would go on and post something. Hey guys, this isn't the thing.
I disagree with you. I disagree with you because if I were Spike's manager, I would tell him not to say a goddamn thing until after the movie comes out. And I'll tell you why. Because Spike, like you said, Spike needs to get his next film financed. If he starts trashing the way prestigious, if he trashes the way a prestigious,
man, but you can't have it both ways. Come on,
what
man.
both ways?
Oh, the creator purity and then the businessman.
I don't know what creator purity is.
Curator purity.
I'm
what do
gonna
you think
tell
we're
you.
talking about? Every fan that bashes a movie, that it's all without taking into consideration the business language of what went down. What, you don't think you sign contracts, Mike? You don't think you hire lawyers? I've seen you do it. This is what every creator does.
Okay,
So
let
don't
me say,
exclude that part from the conversation.
I'm not excluding it. I'm adding it. I'm saying that you asked, why is Spike not saying anything? And I'm saying, if I was Spike or Denzel, if I'm Denzel, it's a smart thing not to say anything.
That's right.
That's what I'm saying. And I'm saying whether he's happy about it or not, whether he thought they were going to do more to promote it or not. The 2-week theatrical window, you can move that off the table. I'm not even concerned about that. Like you said, we're in a different age. So your film's coming out. You want everybody to know. You want everybody to see it, however they see it. That's what you want. If you've got enough power, which is given to filmmakers and less often to filmmakers of color, clearly Ryan Coogler has that power to say, okay, I want this, I want that, and get it. Josh Krager, who just made Weapons, he made Barbarian. That did really, really well. So for his next film, he turned down Netflix offer for more money because he got promised the theatrical window he wanted for his film from New Line, and he got it. And when you see the film, which I've seen, it's great to see in the theater with an audience. And he's right. It should be seen. But that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about promoting it. We're talking about how much they promoted it and how short a window they gave to actually giving it.
So in terms of the promoting, one of the things that I was reading was about this woman who pointed out this pattern that these black movies that have come out, let's say in this last 5 years, many of them have been underfunded and undermarketed. And she says it's typical. They leave the marketing to us, the black moviegoers.
Yes.
We're the ones that have to put the movie on
Yes.
our back.
Yes.
We have to promote it. We have to rile everybody up. We have to hype everybody up. We have to push people to go to the theaters. We have to say, hey, we're going to subscribe here. And what happens when the businesses get that insight? Oh, let me get this straight. Every movie pretty much has half the budget goes into marketing. But have you guys noticed this phenomenon with this black moviegoer culture? What is it? Every time we put out a black movie, they promote it. It's almost like we don't even need a budget. Hey, let's try the next one. Don't give them a budget. Look, they're promoting it themselves. We just saved $50 million. So the question is that our fault as brown and black people for doing that? Because it's a pro and con thing. If you don't do it, you let the movie down. But if you do it, are you enabling this behavior?
I would frame that completely differently. The fact that brown and black folks have learned how to survive against oppression. We've learned how to make it in spite of all the obstacles. So yeah, if they don't promote our film, we're going to promote it ourselves. If it's any fault involved, there's no fault of the brown and black community for supporting themselves. And I will say that the brown community does not support themselves the same way the black community does. That is a whole other show we could do. But the fact that black people have had to do that, systemically, traditionally, historically, they have had to. And that here we are in 2025, and we're still, like that woman said, having to carry this on our backs to promote our heroes, okay, when all that money, and I had a friend recently, and I won't name names, who had a similar situation where they had to promote themselves because they're a writer and they work for a company and they're more than willing to put money and marketing and promotion behind these younger white writers who don't have the accolades that this person does. This person is brown, and this person has won awards, and this person should be treated just like a Spike Lee should be treated the same way a Scorsese is treated. At the very least, he should get the treatment, even if the film is going to end up not being as great or underperforming or this or that, or it's a niche or it's this or whatever. They should still have promoted the shit out of it.
Yeah, but look at the Sydney Sweeney thing and the Dunkin' Donuts Golden Summer commercials. The framing has been, this is eugenics and this is white supremacy and it's MAGA. And as a Hispanic person, am I that gullible that all I hear is just what any person on social media says or any article that I just read? I'm just going to believe it as God's word? Or do I have a mind and can I critically think that maybe this is just people who didn't have a person of color in the room, who were in flag, because to them, the world is white. Every outcome is a white outcome. That doesn't necessarily mean that the villain from the movies, Darth Vader, that wants to. I also can't support that image either. And so for me, a lot of this is more along the lines of, look, this could have been an accident. This could have been a mishap. Maybe somebody should have brought it up in a marketing meeting where everyone is there. Spike's black team, Denzel's black team, their agents and managers. But everyone agreed with it. Everyone gave them gave it the green light. And so the question more to me is, yes, I think as journalists, we need to monitor what's going on in social media and what the murmurs are and how they're viewing this. But we also need to see the business part and go, hey, Spike, were you cool with this? Yeah, I was cool with it. Imagine he says this. Hypothetically, Spike goes, okay, man. Yes, I did do this deal, but don't tell the fans, man, because they're not going to understand this. What do you mean? He might be like, this movie wasn't going to, they did focus groups and they noticed that black audiences weren't going to go, see, this movie's too slow. It's a Kurosawa film. Everybody knew it right out of the bat. They said, we can't give this the Top Gun level budgets. We'll lose money on it. I know you're going to lose money on it, but this is more of a culturally relevant film for Oscar vote. Like I want to go to the Oscars this year. Denzel wants to go to the Oscars this year. His agent said, look, please don't do another Equalizer. You need to do an Oscar-winning prestige film, Denzel. You're getting a big fat paycheck. When are you going to make another $35 million check like this at your age? At some point, he's going to be thinking retirement. So he's like, this is one of the last big cash outs that I'm getting. And in order to make this movie happen, I need Spike Lee directing. Spike Lee's, fuck, man, I'm here for you, bro. All right, great. Let's make this done. The two productions get together and they offer it to their agency, whoever they're with, WME, UTA, CAA. Hey, guys, here's the package. Denzel, Spike Lee, Kurosawa. Wait, hold on a second. Kurosawa? Come on, guys. We're living in a Marvel universe. Even a Marvel like Ironheart on TV is getting slammed. Guys, you got to give me more than this. It has to be like Star Wars, or it has to be a Do the Right Thing, the sequel. Come on. Nope, Kurosawa. Why? Denzel has only a window left of many movies. He's already said that these are going to be the last 2-3 next movies are going to be his last movies. He said this publicly. So he has to choose as if he had a gun to his head. These are the last 3 ones that matter, that need big time cash out. They get together, they offer it, and there's only a few of them. They're like, yo, Kurosawa? Damn, that's a hard sell for the investors and the buyers. We're not making as many movies. This isn't pre-COVID, guys. Yep, I get it, but look at George Clooney and Brad Pitt. They had to go to streamers. We're giving you a 2-week window here. Not only that, we'll push for the Oscars. Not now. We're in the middle of summer. People are traveling, and black audiences, per what we're seeing and the focus group numbers, they're not going to go out to this one. We need a better plot line and better log line. So is it okay if we don't spend as much money now, but we really crank it up for award season? Imagine if that's the conversation I had with Spike. Does that make any sense to you?
No. I'll tell you a couple reasons why. I think there's some validity to what you're saying, but I'll tell you, I think Kurosawa is not going to be the first thing about this because it's a Denzel Williams Spike Lee film. If we're just going after the black audience, they don't even know who Kurosawa is. So that doesn't mean anything. Not to mention the fact that we live in an IP world. This is not just some Kurosawa film. This was a very popular Kurosawa film. It's a high concept film. This guy is at the top of the world. He's at the bottom of the world. And it's has to do with music. They made him a hip hop.
7 angles.
And 7 angles. So there are a lot of things about this that are creative, that are interesting, that would make it interesting. This is the disconnect for me. Even if I thought this is a film that either A, is not going to have the giant appeal, or B, didn't come out the way we hoped. Wouldn't you want to get as much interest in advance as possible? Because so that's the disconnect for me. All of that other stuff, the theatrical window, I take that off the table. I don't even care about that. I know Denzel probably does, and Spike Lee's people. So yeah, we have to have that so we can get great. But to me, the fact that they're working together again in itself is a story that should have been promoted, that should have been hyped. There's no hype for this from the studio, and that's the problem. And you can paint it, frame it, lens it however you want. But the bottom line is the biggest black director in the last 50 years, the biggest black star in the last 50 years are working together on their 5th film, a remake of a popular IP. I can't tell you how many major filmmakers have remade foreign films, and they hardly promoted it. I'm sorry. There's something wrong with this picture.
That's it for this episode of Brown and Black. If you would like to support this podcast, please subscribe and leave a review. Your help will allow us to be heard by many more people. You can follow our comments and opinions on @BrownBlack Podcast on Instagram, YouTube, and now on Substack. We'll see you on the next episode of Brown and Black.